What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and this is it. This is the Sky Striker deck profile that I told you guys I was gonna do. So in the next couple of days, I'm actually going to be uploading updated videos on every deck that either got a hit or got new support, or decks that might be played in a different way since, I don't know, maybe their worst nightmares are now out of the picture. And that's always something that is kind of really cool. For example, Cyber Dragons are now actually better since Sky Striker are now being played because you can finally contact Fuse. So obviously I'm a winner from this ban list, but maybe you aren't. And if you aren't, well, don't worry, because I can give you a big hug after this virus is over. And by the time this virus is over, there's probably gonna be like 7 other ban lists anyway. Okay, no, let's stop being pessimistic. But yeah, anyways, before we start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe, because it makes me super happy. Again, 1,000 likes would make me the happiest human on the planet, and let's jump right into it. So of course I'm playing 3-Ray. I actually should include like a sequence, a compilation of every time people said 3-Ray with like no enthusiasm on their deck profile, you know? Oh my god, yeah, I should actually do that, but I don't know, I'm probably gonna get like copyright issues and stuff. But yeah, 3-Ray, 2 rows, actually no, that one's like way too recent, so yeah. Alright, 2 rows, I'm not gonna sit to tell you why I play 3-Ray. 2 rows, on the other hand, is not as good as Ray because it doesn't have like the graveyard floating, and it doesn't have the quick play, quick effect to trigger in order to summon a Brandish Link monster from the extra deck. But it is cool because you can bait Dragoon that way, since you can go normal summon Ray and then make Hayate and then battle phase attack something like the Anaconda, and then during the damage step you're going to Foolish for the Rose, and then you're going to trigger the Rose, and then your opponent has to Dragoon negate. Otherwise you're going to be able to summon back the Rose and negate the Dragoon because the negation does not target. Yeah, you heard this right, man, it doesn't target, which is Happy Land City to the dome. And I'm also playing a bunch of hand traps, so 2 Skullmeisters, 3 Ash, 2 Ghost Bells, 2 DD Crows, and 2 Effect Veilers. Skullmeister is a really interesting one that deserves an entire kind of video on it, like a card review. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to do it. And by the way, there's also another kind of video that I wanted to do where I compare Ghost Bell to DD Crow to Skullmeister, because all three technically are kind of similar. I did another video where I compared Effect Veiler to Imperm, because they're super similar since they almost have the exact same effect, but at the same time they're completely different because they fulfill different roles. For example, with Effect Veiler, it's not only a tuner, so you can summon it and then make Needle Fiber summon another one, it's also a spellcaster, so you can use it for Celine and then revive back your Effect Veiler and then make an access code, but also it's a level 1, so you can make Relinquished Anima and then maybe absorb a Kaiju, then your Anima is like 3300 attack, so you can jump over something else, whereas Imperm, it doesn't lose to Call by the Grave, it doesn't lose to Tactic Talents, so there is usually always a bunch of ups and downs to every card that you're playing, and there's always a reason to play a card over another, and this is the reason why I really wanted to make a comparison video of DD Crow, Skullmeister, and Ghost Bell. So yeah, again, if you guys are interested, also let me know by liking the video. Alright, and now moving forward, 1 engage. This card is now limited, which is Konami's biggest mistake, and the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis on the fact that engage at 1 is unfair is because even though you're playing 1 engage, you're actually playing like 10 engages. Every single time you make that Shizuku, on the end phase you're always going to be recycling back the engage, unless it's in the graveyard, in which case Kagari can get it back, or the multi-roll can get it back. So you have just way too many ways to access the engage, and if you want it really fast, you can Hayate into it. And yeah, just the deck is honestly really insane and consistent and powerful now. You can't engage into engage, unfortunately, so Pascal, I'm sorry, but yeah, if you want to win a YCS, you're gonna have to think of a different one. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's fine, he can win a YCS with any other deck, but yeah, engage is unfair. It's not a once per turn, even though it's just a 1 of. It's like a 7 of. The card's BS. But yeah, all right. Jamming Waves. I'm playing 2 Afterburner. Burner, though, I think it's a bit better. You can destroy Appaloosa for 3 or 4. Destroy Double Dragon Lords. Destroy. I was gonna say Drancia. You can destroy or bait Herald of Ultimateness. You can play Forbidden Drop and Dark Ruler in your deck if you want to, but I wanted to make this deck going first, so I can actually have a bit of setup with the Shizuku, get the Engage Search, and then pass with like There Can Only Be One. However, if you want to play this deck going second, this is super easily achievable. You can even still play There Can Only Be One if you want in a going second deck, because even though it's like a trap card, it's a trap card that kind of acts as a Regeki on your opponent's turn, because it does make your opponent lose monsters on the field. So a lot of people were like, floodgates are usually garbage going second. Well, that is usually the case. Like, Summon Limit going second against like 5 negate board is garbage, it does nothing. Or like against like 5 already established monsters. But Rivalry, There Can Only Be One, goes in match, combined with like a bunch of Widow Anchors or Solemn Strikes, etc. Usually pretty impactful, so yeah. Anyways, multi-roll, of course, Hornet Drones. This is just like a worse version of Ray and Rose, but still, it's a spell card, so it gets you your count, and it gets you there. Rhoda, which is better to draw than Ray, because not only it gives you the option, but obviously it makes you have like another spell in the grave. It does make you lose to Droll and Logbird, so you can't Shizuku, but it's not the end of the world. 2 Pot of Desires, also pretty nice, because there is not much to banish outside of the Engage. So what you can say, what you can do, actually, if you have Desires going first, is not use it, keep it in your hand, and then get your Shizuku Search for the Engage, and then next turn you go for Desires, so you have a guarantee that you won't banish Engage. And this is a play that people even did back in the days where Engage was a 3, because they were actually trying to protect their multi-roll, and it does make sense. So it's not because you have a card that technically can be activated that you should activate it, if that makes any sense. Anyways, Regeki is kind of a decent card against a few decks, but you don't have to play it again. It's just that it baits negates going second, and it doesn't suck. It's not great though, and it's pretty bad against control decks. So against like the Brandish Mirror and against Salamantrash, I call them Salamantrash. It's an old joke. If you started playing this game after like 2019, forget it. But yeah, and whatever. It's pretty bad against control decks, but it's usually good against like semi-combo decks and stuff like that. Upstart, obviously, you lose to Droll, but it's kind of like Reinforcement of the Army, which is just like, it's kind of free. Same thing with Terraforming. It gets you a card that you're gonna play anyways, so it's just nice to have these cards that can activate and still get you your money back in a way. Then, obviously, 2 Shark Cannon. Shark Cannon, you can kind of argue to play 3. It's just, I'd rather play 2 Shark Cannon and have a bit more space in the main deck so I can play more hand traps. Because if you have hand traps against the current decks in the game, you shouldn't die. I don't think the game right now is at a point where you are completely screwed if you can't push for game. So yeah, I mean, if you can't like break their board and like set up an unbreakable board, if you hand trap them enough and then one hand trap can technically sometimes get you there, because then you're playing against like a half established board, and then you still have 5 cards in your hand to pick apart the rest or grind it out so the negates don't scare you too much. But yeah, Shark Cannon at 2 is, I think, enough. Alright, 3 Widow Anchor, obviously, the card's a 3, which is dumb. It should go back to 1. 3 Area 0. Now, this card's infinitely better because you can now Excavate Engage if you're skillful at the game. And yeah, sure, you might say, oh yeah, but it's only 3 cards and it's only a 1-of. But think of it as a pot of duality, and the worst case scenario is that you trade in a card, like a spell card, for another spell card, which is kind of like a free way to get a spell in the grave, and then if you have like multi-roll, you can send it and then get an like a ray on the field. So there are just a lot of reasons to play Area 0, which I like. And also, Terraforming needs a few targets, so if you have a bunch of Area Zeros or like a Mystic Mine, that would be really nice. The Mystic Mine, you don't really need it to deck your opponent out, and the majority of the time it will just be there in order to kind of, I don't know, just bait your opponent's negate, and then you can do the rest of your plays. But yeah. Alright, and then obviously 3, there can only be 1. It can be Solemn Judgment, it can be Solemn Strike, it can be, that's pretty much it. Metaverse, actually. Metaverse is a big one. Metaverse usually has a bigger impact than Mystic Mine, because, well, you're metaversing into Mystic Mine, but the reason why I'm saying that is because Mystic Mine, it's a spell card, so you have to use it on your own turn, and usually your opponent is kind of like in a position where he can kind of deal with it, but Metaverse, you're doing it out of nowhere when your opponent least expects it, and you can kind of say, oh yeah, Demise of the Land is the same thing, but if your opponent doesn't play into Demise of the Land, you're kind of screwed. So if your opponent Cosmic Cyclones Demise of the Land before summoning a monster, you can't use it. Whereas if he Cosmic Cyclones the Metaverse and you chain it to activate Mystic Mine, he wasted 1 card. So that's definitely something. Anyways, for the extra deck, we have Access Code Talker, Nin Grisu, shoutouts to Milano, Nin Girsu, Celine, obviously Phoenix, in case your opponent Imperial orders you and stuff like that, Needle Garbage, yeah, Needle Fiber is decent, but the only way to really summon it, either by normal summoning a hand shop when you already have a monster on the field, or by using Shark Cannon or Widow Anchor to steal a tuner on their field, and then make Needle Fiber, summon Veiler, make Celine, and then into Access Code, pop a bunch of cards on their field, and then you pretty much just win the game, which is, again, Happy Land City to the Dome. And then obviously Zeke. Zeke is one of the best and coolest ways to... I don't know, man. There's just so many cool things that you can do. Like, you can Widow Anchor twice, steal 2 monsters, and then make Zeke by using one of them as a material so your opponent doesn't get it back. And then you can actually banish the other monster that you stole, or you can send it to the grave, and then you gain a 1,000 attack, but it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you get rid of the monsters that you stole without having to link summon into, like, a garbage monster like Nin Gears. Well, if you get the... You get the point, right? The goal is just to turn the Zeke at the end into Shizuku instead of ending on a monster that doesn't do anything. So, yeah. Anyways, to Hayate, when Kaina... Kaina's really good in time, so this deck's like Prank Kids, where if you go first on a game 3, you go normal summon Ray, activate like anything, and then it's like Handshake City. Yeah, the normal Ray, activate Area 0. Oh, time is called! Ah! In no way I'm encouraging you to cheat, by the way. Cheating is not good. Cheating is not good. Yeah, I don't cheat. Cheating is bad. Anyways, 3 Kagari, 3 Shizuku. I don't even play this deck, by the way. Why are you looking at me like this? Jesus, leave me alone. Oh my god, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong whatsoever. Oh, it's actually funny because that joke was actually about stalling in time. And this is, oh, that's so cute. Anyways, for the idea section, which is almost like a side deck at this point. Pot of Avarice, and with Utopia double for the package to kill your opponent. In case he has a monster with 2,000 or less attack on the field, if you can get 2 level 4 monsters on the field, you can make Utopia double. And then on battle phase, make sure you call battle phase. Don't just say, I'll use the effect right now, because then you can get Veilered, since Veiler can only be used on the main phase. So call battle phase, and then at the start of the battle phase, you can use the effect detach to search for double or nothing, and then put Utopia on top. And then attack over your opponent's monster, detach with your Utopia, and then chain double or nothing, and then your Utopia is gonna have 10,000 attack, and then you jump over, 10,000 minus 2,000 equal 8,000, Merry Christmas, your opponent is dead, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a fun way to kill your opponent, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not fun for your opponent, but it's fun for you, and that's what matters. At Pancratops, it's a good card, usually. It doesn't really conflict with the strategy of the Brandish, where you don't want to have, like, monsters in the main monster zone, because it has a quick effect to tribute itself to pop a card anyways, so it's not really like Zuking Alpha, Phantasme, Nibiru, stuff like that. You should be fine. 3 Artifact Lancia. By the way, even if you play Phantasma, it's not the end of the world because you can still make Zeke. So it's pretty good, honestly. I could actually consider playing Phantasma in this format in this deck. Anyways, 3 Artifact Lancia. Now, Lancia has a unique interaction in this deck. It can actually help you because you can Lancia with the multi-roll, getting back your Widow Anchors, for example, and then when you use the card that was set off of multi-roll, instead of getting banished, it goes back to your graveyard, and then you get it back again. So if you have this, or Lancia or Imperial Iron Wall, which is a continuous trap card floodgate, you can do the same thing where you can loop engage infinite times, literally, without even having to rely on Kagari, which is nasty. So if you want to play a floodgate that not only stops evenly matched, stops flunderies, stops everything and their mother, consider playing Imperial Iron Wall. It's pretty good, my guy. Anyways, Drolin Logbird is also another card that stops a lot of decks like, I don't know, Drytron. Dinosaurs and Dragon Link are just no longer part of the equation, so who cares? Salamangreat doesn't lose to Drolin Logbird for extremely obvious reasons. It can use Circle on the draw phase, and the Veilings is like the only real search that they need, because after that, they just recycle back from graveyard to hand and stuff like that, so it's pretty bad. Anyways, Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Drop are other good options. Kaijus could work, but not a big fan. And of course, Cosmic Cyclone. So yeah, Duster should be there too, by the way. I forgot, but Duster should be there. Lightning Storm is a great one. It's a spell card, so it has a bit more value to me. than a card like Evenly Matched, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Even though it's not like people would be citing Artifact Lancia and stuff against you. However, the one drawback that Lightning Storm does have is that if your opponent plays Anti-Spell or Imperial Order, well, you're going to play into it. So I'd rather play quick play spell cards that are removal, like Twin Twister and Cosmic Cyclone, rather than play Lightning Storm. And I'm pretty sure a lot of good players would be able to agree with me. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me, and don't forget to like, subscribe, all the beautiful package, and I will see you next time. Peace!